Okay, hello and welcome everyone to Ask the Expert session, the show where you can connect directly with the experts to get your answers, your questions answered live. So, yeah, right, that's right, live. So make sure you take advantage of that and get those questions in the chat, and we will get to as many as we can today. Today, we are going to be talking about modernize apps, build SaaS offers, and scale. I'm your host, Sofia Pacifico, service engineer, part of the FastTrack for Azure ISV and startup team. With me, a great colleague and the expert for today, Casey Watson.
Hey, Sophia, and hello, everybody. My name is Casey Watson, principal engineer with the FastTrack for Azure and ISV startup team, same team as Sophia. Really excited to be here. We've been helping a lot of customers recently on their SaaS transformation journey. So really excited to talk about what Microsoft has in store.
Yeah, thanks, Casey. Thanks a lot for taking the time to join us today. So first of all, as a side note, Casey and I delivered a session about accelerate and de-risk your journey to SaaS in the Microsoft Ignite at the beginning of this month in November. So if you weren't part of the event, you should definitely watch all the amazing sessions that are available on demand. And you can take a look to the link that will show below, and you can see all the recording sessions. Casey, I'm very excited to talk about this topic today because it's one of my favorite, and I have a lot of questions, and I know that the audience as well. So while we are waiting for the questions to coming up here on the chat, I want to kick things off with some questions that I have.
Sure.
And I know that you have a lot of experience. So based on your experience, can you talk about the transition to trends to SaaS?
Yeah, absolutely. Recently at the Ignite 2021 conference, Satya called out some very, very interesting points. Not even just about technology, but about the way that the world is moving and how every company is becoming a software company. A particular note, he mentioned that this last year, companies in the automotive industry hired 3 times the number of software engineers as they did mechanical engineers. You look at companies like Airbnb and like Uber. These are the biggest, most disruptive companies. Airbnb owns no hotels. Uber owns no vehicles. The world is very much changing, and the world is looking to Microsoft to figure out how do we change the way that we sell software. They've seen Microsoft successes around Microsoft 365 going from a box product to a service, and they want to know how to do it as well. And it's a difficult journey. I would say, too, that everything that's happened with COVID-19, this new hybrid working reality, makes it even more important to push the SaaS story and meet our customers wherever they are, be it in the workplace or at home or on the road.
So you think that COVID-19 definitely accelerate all these
Absolutely.
transformations?
Yeah.
Cool, amazing. I want to first kick off this with asking about FastTrack. So I know that you mentioned, and we are both part of the FastTrack. So can you share more information with the audience about what is the FastTrack ISV and startup team?
Absolutely. Yeah. So like you said a second ago, we both belong to the FastTrack and Azure ISV startup team here at Microsoft, and we're actually part of Azure Engineering. So we belong to the same organization as all the various product groups, which is really good because that lets us know the latest features that are coming. And also when we work with ISVs like yourself, and there is a gap in the platform or something that you wish worked differently, we have a direct line to the product group to go talk to them and say, hey, we have customers asking for this feature. But most importantly, our group works specifically with ISVs, independent software vendors. And we go all the way from understanding your business, what it is that you're trying to achieve, to your timelines around what it is that you're trying to build, and then all the way through to production. And we are a purely advisory service. The FastTrack for Azure ISV program is actually fairly new, but we've already worked with tens of thousands of ISVs around the globe, making sure that they're successful on the Azure platform. And we'd love for you to be the next one.
Yeah, definitely. And it sounds like you mentioned that the FastTrack team helps with migrating applications. So can you talk through some of the benefits of migrate to Azure over the other cloud providers?
Yeah, it's a really difficult question, and I don't want to be too salesy about it. But I will definitely talk about some of the higher level things that bring customers to Microsoft. The biggest number one is the enterprise customers that we can help you reach. Okay, we don't normally think about it like this, but like if you have enterprise customers that you are trying to reach, chances are those enterprise customers are also Microsoft customers. And whenever you think about selling to those enterprise customers, you want to be kind of on this approved vendor list. Chances are Microsoft's already on the approved vendor list. So probably the biggest benefit is that you're joining a network of companies and ISVs and Microsoft partners that already exist. We are helping sell on your behalf. Like that's probably the biggest benefit. Identity is another huge one. When you're talking about these companies that are operating on-prem, most of them have Active Directory running on-prem. And Azure Active Directory, unlike a lot of the other cloud providers, it's a complete identity solution. So it's not just for protecting your Azure resources. It's not just for protecting Microsoft Office. You can also use it to protect your own web apps. So customers feel better. They can bring their own identities to the cloud from on-prem. You're not in the identity business anymore, which is a dangerous business to be in. On top of that, we're operating in more than 60 countries around the globe. It's twice as many as AWS, 3x as many as Google. So wherever your customers are, we can reach them. And then, of course, on top of all that, you really can't beat our developer toolchain right now. You're talking about GitHub Actions. You're talking about Azure Pipelines. You're talking about Visual Studio Code. It is a complete development story from beginning to end. And then all the other things that matter to the business, 90 plus compliance offerings, the identity piece I mentioned a second ago, and our commitment to security makes our cloud the right place for enterprise SaaS.
Yeah, and that is amazing. And also we are able to see that how also that ecosystem is growing a lot. So yeah, and I have that was a question from Bruno. So thanks, Bruno, for asking that question. Yeah. I have another question from Carlos on the chat. So he asked about what does the FastTrack for Azure ISV and startup team do?
Yeah, so like I said a second ago, we are advisors. So we will give you the advice on how to go build the solution. We don't actually build it with you, but I will say that if you have a partner you're working with, that partner is welcome to come join all the engagements. But what a typical engagement looks like is we start with technical discovery, which, by the way, the session Sophia mentioned a second ago, the whole session is arranged like a typical FastTrack for Azure engagement. So if you really want to know how it works, just go watch the session. But it starts with the technical discovery where Microsoft digs in deep to understand your business, not even at a technical level. Tell us about your app, tell us about your customers, tell us about your business, tell us about your future plans. And then after that, we ask you to kind of provide your current architecture or what you think your architecture might look like. We review it together. So it's Sophia, myself, other Azure engineers, we look at it all together. And then we move into architecture design session where we go deep into specific areas. So if you want to know about the way that DevOps works, if you want to know about the way that identity works, we can go deep in those areas.
Yeah, and yeah, as Casey mentioned, we strongly recommend to go and check the session on demand because will definitely help you to put things together, and maybe you will not need us or you have all the information there. So we strongly recommend to take a look. Awesome, Casey. Thanks a lot for all the information that you provide. I have a great question from Ben. And yeah, you have the link of the session below. So the question from Ben is that he said that this seems like pretty cool program. So how did it get created?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said a second ago, FastTrack for Azure is actually part of Azure engineering. So all the people that are building the tools that you know and love today, we are part of the same org. One of the things that Microsoft has realized early on is that the way that we scale is through partners. So it's kind of like a philosophy that stretches across the entire company. So Azure engineering also has the same philosophy. And we realize that one of the biggest challenges for customers to get started on the Azure cloud, and obviously, where Microsoft starts spending money, is just understanding where to get started. I mean, you're talking about 200 plus services. You're talking about thousands of features. You're talking about so many architectural design patterns. Customers need help just to get started. Well, our leadership realized that. And that's where this team came from. And like I said, we're still a fairly new team. We've already helped a bunch of ISVs get onboarded to Azure, but we're still learning the best way to do it. So think of it as being Microsoft's engine for getting these workloads in the cloud.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Casey, I have another quick question. And this is from Jeffrey. Is there a community of any kind of graduate of this FastTrack program?
We don't have a community today besides just being a graduate and being online on the Azure platform. But it's a great point. And it's funny because you use the word graduates, and that's the exact word that Sophia and I use internally whenever a customer graduates from the program. That being said, if you come work with us and we build something really amazing together, there's a chance that we want to work with you and to go public and talk about it publicly and share your customer story. But no, that's a great point. It would be cool to have a community of FastTrack for Azure graduates.
Definitely, I think so that it's a great point, Jeffrey, to take in consideration. Casey, I want to mention this because I think so that it's very important, and I think so that will add some value to the audience. We were working in the FastTrack team, and one of the things that we do, it helps to publish to the SaaS solution into the marketplace. So right. Can you talk through the benefit of publishing the solution to the marketplace?
Yeah, absolutely. And I right at the very top of this, one of the things I want to mention is historically, whenever you transact with Microsoft, so basically you publish an offer to the marketplace, Microsoft would take a 20% cut of whatever you're billing your customers. Well, it's really important. I wish I had a flashing neon sign right now to say that it is now only 3%. So it's just a 3% cut. And for that 3% cut, you basically get a complete e-commerce engine. So billing against the customer's Azure account, billing against their credit card is going to be outsourced. We take care of all of that for you. We have tools like Project Mona, which we'll talk about here in a second, that make it really easy to onboard in the marketplace. But the benefits of it, you automatically get access to Microsoft's entire customer base. We're talking about 4 million people that visit our storefront monthly, and over 95% of Fortune 500 companies are also Azure users. So earlier, when we were talking about identity, those Fortune 500 companies that have those Active Directory identities on premises, those are the customers that we're trying to get to. And imagine if you can go to those customers that are already vested in Active Directory and Azure Active Directory in the cloud and say, you don't need to create any new additional identities. You're already part of this Microsoft community. that extends out to the ISV community. There's also a lot of other features. One of the things inside of Microsoft right now is this Microsoft Azure consumption commitment. So if you're a very, very large company, basically you can get discounts on Azure to consume Azure, and you have to, basically those customers have a commitment and they have to decrement that commitment. So you are also helping those customers decrement that commitment. So you're helping, we're selling on your behalf at 3%. It's really a no-brainer if you want to go transactable SaaS.
Wow, that is great. And thanks a lot for sharing all that information. I have a great question from Dana that she's asking about, how do I know if I'm ready for this kind of support?
Sure.
And what needs to be done in place, and what is the expense?
Okay, yeah. So really good news on this one. The FastTrack for Azure program, just all up, the bar is pretty low for access. You have to have an existing Azure subscription. You have to be operating in one of the countries that we support, and we support most countries around the globe. And you basically need to have a workload that over the next 12 months is expected to hit $5,000 a month in Azure consumption. Now for the really good part, the FastTrack for Azure program is entirely free to you. So you go nominate, you can either go nominate yourself, you can have a partner nominate you. If you have an account team at Microsoft, that account team can also nominate you. But the services that Sophia and I provide as Azure engineers and as advisory are completely free to the ISV. This is a service that we provide just to get more ISVs on the platform. All of the sessions are delivered remotely, just like this session. So there's really nothing on site. But that, honestly, that makes it easier for us to reach as many ISVs as possible.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Casey, for providing all that information. And sorry that I could you before, but you were talking about the marketplace, and you mentioned about Mona. And so can you share what are the resources that this audience can take advantage or take a look to accelerate this journey to publish their SaaS offered into the marketplace?
Absolutely. So we have two programs going on right now. And both the programs were mentioned in the session. By the way, they are private preview programs. So if you want to sign up for them, you can do so at aka.ms accelerate SaaS. So Mona is the marketplace onboarding accelerator. To onboard your SaaS application to the marketplace, you have to expose a webhook so we can notify you whenever there's a subscription cancellation, suspension, reinstatement, that sort of thing. And also you have to expose a landing page. So when we redirect a customer from the marketplace to your site, they have a place to go confirm it. Traditionally, customers have had to build all this on their own, which a lot of times kind of presented a challenge, right? Because you have to decide, do I want to go focus on my product or do I want to go focus on marketplace integration? Mona greatly accelerates that process. And we are currently in private preview. We are onboarding ISVs right now. We've had incredible results, actually. We had one customer that went from 3 to 4 months that it typically takes to onboard in the marketplace to being live and transactable in 4 hours. So it really accelerates that part of it. The other part of that is the Azure SaaS Development Kit. We are trying to figure out right now what is a SaaS reference architecture on Azure. And if you go look at the project, if you go sign up for the private preview, one of the things that you'll notice is that there's a lot of design and some components are built, but it's not complete yet. That's by design, because we don't know inside Microsoft necessarily what SaaS should look like for you. So we decided to go build this thing out in the open so that the ISV community, you, early on as soon as possible, can come and contribute. So it's not Microsoft's SaaS story, it's Microsoft and the ISV's joint SaaS story. So those are the two big resources you have at your disposal.
That's amazing. And definitely those two resources sounds great. Mona, that you can have your offer live and publish in less than 4 hours instead of months that takes to create all the landing page and all that stuff. And with the Azure SaaS Dev Kits, that you can have a reference of architecture, take a look, see all the best practices that we recommend, apply that for your solution. That, yeah, every company have their own solution, and it's totally different from the other. So in this service looks like that the client can take a look and take all the things that they need and put it together and make sure that they have all the best practices and all our experience in their solution. So that it's
That's the
amazing.
idea. That's the idea.
That it's amazing. So yeah, we have a few more minutes for some questions. So I have a great question from, and since we are talking about marketplace, from Anil. Is asking, I'm just starting and I want to build an app for the marketplace. Where do I start?
Yeah. So I would say the best time to really start working with Mona is whenever you are getting ready to onboard the marketplace. So again, aka MS Accelerate SaaS, would definitely recommend that you go there and sign up for the Mona Private Preview program. We also provide a ton of docs. So you can actually go take a look at the developer documentation. It talks about the APIs that are supported. But really, you go build your SaaS app. There are the basics of the SaaS app. You need to manage subscriptions. You need to manage licenses, that sort of thing. However your business operates. By the way, that part of it, if you do sign up for the FastTrack for Azure ISV program, Sophia and I can also help you design that part of it. And then you take that, you put Mona on the front end. Mona is the proxy between the marketplace and your SaaS app. And then basically you just go build out your SaaS application, whatever value you want to provide to your customers. And it's really that straightforward.
Awesome. Yeah. I hope that this definitely answered your questions, Anil. And I have Casey another question about Stanislao. What do you see on the roadmap for changes in this program? I assume that we were talking about FastTrack. And have you have to make changes as a result to the changing landscape of COVID?
Yeah. Great question, by the way. First of all, what do you see on the roadmap for changes to this program? The cool thing about this program, like I said a second ago, is that it's fairly new. And because it's a fairly new program, we have a lot of bandwidth right now to go and adjust the way the program works to meet our ISV's needs. So really, any change you make to the program right now is driven by something our ISVs are asking for. But beyond that, the only plan we have for the program is to continue growing it. The program right now, it's available in the Americas. It's available in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. It's also available in Asia Pacific. And right now, we are just adding more engineers. We're adding more PMs so we can scale out the amazing work that we're already doing to meet more ISVs. As far as making changes as a result of the changing landscape of COVID, the fact that we already deliver all of our sessions remotely makes that a lot easier from the get-go. And then I said earlier, we kind of see with COVID-19 and the proliferation of the hybrid workplace, bring your own device, all these kind of things that go along with it. We see that being kind of a forcing function to go do software as a service because it's so much easier in these new times to go build a solution, software as a service, as a subscription, than it is to go deal with licenses and on-site deployments and everything that goes along with that. So I personally see a push to SaaS because of COVID-19.
Yes, and I'm totally agree with you on that. So yeah, definitely. Casey, we have a few more minutes, and talking about SaaS, what are the most common challenges that companies face when they decide to move to SaaS?
So probably the biggest challenge doesn't have anything at all to do with tech. It has to do with going from selling licenses of software that are installed, on-prem or in the cloud, to selling subscriptions. Now, from a business perspective, it makes a lot more sense, especially if the resources that you're spending up to support those SaaS subscriptions are pay as you go or consumption, right? Because then you're literally just paying for what your subscribers are consuming under the covers. So you're taking less risk. And that's, the way the whole cloud works, right? You just spin up what you need only when you need it. So being able to do that and spin up only what you need, only whenever you need it. And then imagine too, customer comes, they subscribe, you go create the resources to support that subscription. The customer is already paying for the resources. And then you get a signal that the subscription has been suspended from the Azure Marketplace. Well, just as easily, you can go and shut those resources down so that you're not paying for them anymore if there's not a customer paying for it. Another big challenge too is that everyone thinks that SaaS is the right decision every single time. SaaS is not right for every single company. We see a lot of companies doing SaaS transformation, but don't try to force yourself down the SaaS path unless there's a business justification for it. And by the way, we talk about that in the on-demand session that Sophia mentioned a second ago.
Yes, definitely. Everyone have to go and check the session, because we'll provide you and we'll answer most of your questions about the SaaS. And here I have almost a final questions, I believe, that we didn't talk. We didn't explain at the beginning. But what does SaaS means?
Yeah, and this is the perfect question.
Okay, I think so.
It looks like we may have lost Casey, but Sophia, if you want to take us home after this episode.
Yes, well, definitely. Well, thanks everyone for checking and see this session. And I think so that Casey's here again.
Sorry.
This is real life. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. This is how you know it's not scripted. That my webcam shut down and now I'm using a different webcam. So anyways, hello. Yeah. So software SaaS literally means software as a service. And the really important point to understand here is that it doesn't have anything to do with tenancy. A lot of people think that if we are going software as a service, that means multi-tenant. That's not true. That's a myth. As a matter of fact, in that session, we talked through that. Software as a service is all about how you are selling the software versus the way that you used to sell the software. And when we talk about multi-tenancy and single tenancy, these are just patterns to support that software as a service business model. So again, I want to say it one more time with a big red exclamation point. SaaS does not equal multi-tenant, because you can do single tenant SaaS, multi-tenant SaaS, even both of those at the same time to support your customer needs.
Yes, and everyone, we strongly recommend to go to the Ignite session that is on demand and available for everyone, where we explain all these things. So I think so that we are out of time. Casey, thanks a lot for all your time, for all your information provided. Thanks everyone for joining us today. And definitely head to the link below to watch the past episodes and also see what is coming next. So thanks everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Bye.